for joining us for another Breakfast by the Bay. I am Captain Jen. Driving today is Captain Eric, and we're super excited to bring you out on a seal tour today. Could you please do me a favor? If you can hear me and if you can see me, please let me know everything's working okay. And we're just going to get started in a minute once we allow people some time just to sign on and catch up with us. But today we're going to be talking all about our friends, the harbor seals, and telling you about why they're here in the bay, where they come from, and of course if you have any questions, let us know in the comment section, and we'll try to follow up with those questions too. I also wanted to give a big shout out to any students from San Miguel School watching from Providence today. We're super excited to have you here with us. If any of you are watching today, any kids, if you could fill us in the comments what school you're from, we would love to know what school you're watching from. All right, I see some comments coming through. Hi everyone, thanks for being here. It looks like you can all see me and hear me okay. If anything comes up, let us know, but we are gonna get started on our seal tour. So we're down here in Newport today, and we're right over by Rose Island. I am going to flip the around so I can show you on our chart here where exactly we're located. We're down here at the southern portion of Narragansett Bay, and we first started out here in Newport Harbor, and we drive right out into the bay over towards an island called Rose Island. Right to the east of Rose Island is a group of rocks that are out during low tide, and those rocks are called Citing Rock. This is one of the popular spots in Narragansett Bay to see a lot of seals during the winter time. So this is our spot that we go during our seal watches. All right, so we are slowly approaching our seals here. Open our window so you can see better. So here they are. From afar, it doesn't really look like there's much there except a big rock. But actually, we have quite a few friends with us today. The seals we're looking at today are harbor seals. They're the most common seal we have here in Narragansett Bay, and they're here in the winter time. So a lot of the times we get the question, why are we out viewing seals in the middle of winter when it's really, really cold? But the seals love it here in the winter. They migrate down from points that are further north, like up in Maine and Canada, and they spend their winter months here. So we don't typically see large numbers of seals until about October, November. And by the end of April, most of these seals are gonna make their way out of Narragansett Bay and head back up north again. Now, our harbor seals are kind of human-sized. So the male harbor seals can get up to about 300 pounds and be close to 6 feet long. The female harbor seals are about 200 pounds, and they can get to about 4.5 feet long. Harbor seals are true seals, they're called, and what makes them a true seal is that they do not have ear flaps. They do have ears so that they can hear, but they just don't have the flaps that you would typically see on things like a sea lion. Seals can also, they cannot rotate their hind flippers to walk on them. So oftentimes when we're out here viewing seals, they are kind of doing the inchworm and they're wiggling their way up onto these rocks. They cannot walk on the rocks. That would be something like sea lions do. Seals are also mammals, and to be a mammal, you have to have 5 traits or 5 characteristics. You have to be warm-blooded, you have to have hair or fur. The females produce milk for their young, and the young are born alive. They're not born in eggs or anything like that. And they also breathe air. Now, I'm not sure if Captain Eric's able to get a count on how many seals are out here today, and if we do, I'll let you know. But overall, throughout the winter in the bay, we see upwards of 500 to 600 harbor seals. Now, if you went back to the 70s, there really weren't any harbor seals out here in Narragansett Bay. So why the big change in their population? That is due to the Marine Mammal Protection Act that was enacted in 1972. The Marine Mammal Protection Act states that you cannot harm or harass a seal. There's no hunting of seals for the most part, for things like fur, which was a really popular thing back in that time. So since you're not allowed to harm or capture seals anymore, their numbers have really increased. The Marine Mammal Protection Act also tells us that you need to keep a safe distance from seals. Basically, you're not allowed to change a seal's behavior. So if you were walking toward one and it jumped off the rock, then that would be in violation of that Marine Mammal Protection Act. We have to just leave them alone and let them be the wild animals that they are. Now this spot is a great spot for us to see the seals. When we do run our seal tours, we run our seal tours around low tide. So we're just gonna spin the boat around.
Spin the boat around here. At least kind of maneuver a little bit.
We do run our seals at low tide. And that is because this rock is only exposed at low tide. And the seals will haul themselves out onto the rocks, mostly to rest while they can. When the rock is underwater, they'll be around in the water swimming around, hunting for food. And we know this is a great location for them because on the opposite side of the rock we're looking at now is a deep channel. So if the seals need to escape from this location, they can easily just hop into the water and swim away. But on this side, it's much more shallow, and they can hunt for food on this side. What do seals typically eat? Harbor seals love different kinds of fish that are in Narragansett Bay. Things like menhaden and bay anchovies, even some flounder and other flatfish. They sometimes, occasionally, will eat a clam or some shrimp that they find, but for the most part, they really enjoy that fish. Now, seals have some really amazing adaptations. So things about the features on their bodies that will help them survive. Because for me, I find it really difficult to imagine living in the bay in the middle of the winter. It must be freezing cold. But seals have really unique adaptations to allow them to live in such cold waters. So to start with, their body is insulated with about 6 inches of blubber that surrounds their body to help keep them nice and warm. They have unique ways of allowing that heat to escape if they're becoming too hot. And they also have unique ways of keeping that heat into their core so that they can stay nice and warm when they need to. Another feature that the seals have that I find really interesting is the ability for them to keep their nostril closed. Now their nose will stay closed most of the time, and it actually only opens to allow them to take a breath. That's a great adaptation for them that allows them to swim around in the water and not have to worry about water getting in their nose.
I'm working my way back up towards the rock here, Captain. So
awesome.
Hopefully we'll get a little bit closer view in just a minute.
Great. So we're going to get a little bit closer as we make our way back around the rock. Another one of my favorite adaptations about the seal is the way that they're able to hold their breath. So on average, seals can hold their breath for about 5 or 6 minutes underwater, which is generally the amount of time that they're going to be underwater, looking for food, maybe escaping from a predator. But if they really needed to stay underwater for a longer period of time, they can stay underwater for up to 26 minutes. And now, it must be super hard for them to be able to hold their breath for so long when they are air-breathing mammals. And so one of the ways that they can conserve their oxygen while underwater is to actually slow down their heart rate. So when your heart is beating, it's pumping oxygenated blood around to your body using your oxygen. But when a seal is underwater swimming around, they can't get more oxygen until they go up to the surface. So what they actually do is they can slow their heart rate down. Instead of it beating about 75 to 100 beats per minute, it slows way down to about 4 to 6 beats per minute. And that really helps them conserve their oxygen so that they can stay underwater longer. That's one of my favorite facts about the harbor seal. I think that is a really great adaptation that they have. So we're coming back around so that you can get a better view. And I have a question here that says, what are a seal's predator in the bay? That's a great question. They actually really don't have predators in the bay. There are some things that seals may sort of be frightened by, like if people were walking near them or if there were dogs around and other animals, but there aren't any predators of a seal in Narragansett Bay. You will find that seals only haul their bodies out onto rocks that are not connected to land. So you can see Rose Island behind us, and it's pretty rocky along the shoreline. You won't typically find a seal hauled out on that shoreline because they know that it's easy access for people or other animals to walk out to them. So they will be looking for rocks that are secluded, kind of on their own little island like this. Great question, Matthew. Typical predators of seals would be things like sharks, which we don't really have in Narragansett Bay, orca whales, which we don't have either, and polar bears, which again are not walking around here in Rhode Island. So when seals come here and they're in Narragansett Bay, they have a pretty safe space for them to rest and hunt for their food because there are no predators here for them. All right, well, I hope you all have enjoyed our seal tour today. If there are any other questions, you can leave them in the comments for us and we'll catch up with you later on. But thank you all for being here. And if you have enjoyed our Breakfast by the Bay series, and if you're able to, please consider donating to Save the Bay today. We'll see you back here on Monday at 10 a.m. for our next Breakfast by the Bay.